Here's the main document I've set up to be in the mail merging process. I now want to set up my data source. I can create a new data source from scratch. Choose Tools, Mail Merge, and let's work now with step number 2, the data source, where it says Get Data. Click and either create a new data source, open an already existing data source, use the address book, or look at the header option. We'll be looking at this in just a moment. If I want to create a data source, I can click on this option. And the first thing to do is to set up my field names. I can either type in my own field name here, for example, and then click Add Field Name, and that gets added to the bottom of the list. Or I can remove some of these extra field names that I don't want. Or I can change the order by selecting a field name and then using these arrows. So clicking is moving my field there, salutation upwards. Once I've set up my data source, I can click OK. I am then required to give my data source a name. So I'm going to call it data. I can choose a storage location and then click Save. I now have a message telling me that my data source that I've just created has no data records. I can choose to edit the data source, or I can choose to edit my main document. But I'm going to edit the data source by clicking on this button. This opens a data form, and you can see listed here all of my field titles. I can scroll down to see the full list. I'm going to type in a few records. I am working here on record number 1. Once I have completed it, I can click Add New. And you can see here a second record is created. I can click Add New again and type in another, and so on. If I want to scroll backwards to see previous records, I can click on this button, which takes me back to record number 2 and then back to record number 1. Or I can move forwards to one record at a time. Or if I click on the very first button, that takes me back to the beginning, and the last button takes me to the very last record. Records can be deleted by clicking the Delete button. If I click the Find button, I can type in my find criteria. So for example, if I wanted to find any records beginning with the letter S, and from here in the first name field, I can set this up, click Find First. I'll say that yes, I do want to continue searching from the beginning of the database. I just drag that out of the way. There's a first record that is found that matches my criteria, a first name beginning with S. I click Close here, and so I can continue setting up my data source. I've just given you a brief overview here, and I haven't included all of the information that will be required. But once you've set up your data source, you can click OK. You've returned to your main document, and you can now see that the Insert Merge field option is available. If I click on this option, you can see a list of all of the field headers or titles that I created with that new data source. If at any point you want to change your data source, so for example, if you want to keep your same main document, but you now want to use a different set of data, I'd like to do that. I'll just go back to my main document. I can change my data source very easily. I can choose Tools, Mail Merge, where it says here Get Data. Instead of using that data that we worked on earlier in this lesson, I can choose Get Data, Open Data Source, select all files, and here is my data word, .dbf, files where I have all data. I'm just double clicking on that. I'm not interested in saving my data example as a data source. I click no, and then I get this message indicating that no merge fields have been found in my main document. If I now click edit main document, you will see that the insert merge field, this list, is using the list of the field titles or headers from my new data source. And if I choose here tools, mail merge, you can see listed in the second section, my data source is in a document called Data World. I'll just click cancel to go back to the main document.